Okay, friends. It all started with me strolling through the central streets of London, clutching a cappuccino in my hand, and trying to dodge groups of tourists who seemed to have deliberately lined up in a chain to test my patience. And suddenly he appeared, Alex. He's standing near a cafe, all look at me, the whole world has frozen for me, and immediately throws out. Hello, do you believe in love at first sight, or should I walk by again? I froze for a moment, I thought, okay, cliché, but let's see where this leads. Hi, I reply, raising an eyebrow. Do you always approach girls like that? He steps closer, as if that's a green light. Sometimes, he says, with all the self-assurance on his face, like I'm supposed to be impressed. In my mind, I'm already noting, mistake after mistake. Too pushy, too smug, trying too hard. All right, Alex, show me what you can really hook me with, I say. He pulls out his smartphone and shows a funny picture. I barely hold back a chuckle. This is funny, I ask cautiously. He grins as if I've just said something genius. In my head, lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Yeah, right. I thought it's popular, he justifies. I let out a light sigh. Honestly, friends, funny pictures on a first meeting, that's already in the potential fiasco category. Okay, I say, popular is one thing. What else is in your arsenal? He starts telling about himself, every line sounding like look how outstanding I am. About fitness, career, car. I nod, smile, but mentally note the flaws. Too focused on himself. Too little interest in me. Too pushy, as if I should be amazed. So, he says, a bit lost, do you love adventures? I almost laughed. Buddy, is that all you've got? I do, I reply. But I value even more when a guy can do something beyond a couple of cliché lines. He winces, a small win for me. Mistake 2, cliché questions don't work. Okay, I can be original, he tries to wriggle out. Great, I say, prove it. He grabs his smartphone again. This time, another funny picture. I quietly giggle, and then I realize, almost all guys repeat the same mistakes. Self-assurance plus clichés plus funny pictures equals triumph. In reality, no. I decide to play along, observe how far he'll go. And it's genuinely entertaining, watching someone try to seem perfect while I analyze fun like a TV show. Continuation. We head to a small park near the cafe. He's still trying to be witty. Each joke a bit weaker than the last. He throws out something like, I'm convinced we have a lot in common. I nod, internally thinking, good job, Alex, you just delivered a line that's equal to super cliché. He pulls out his smartphone again and tries to show a picture with a kitten. Alex, I say calmly, are you sure funny pictures are the way to impress a girl on a first meeting? He grimaces. Well, it's popular. I sigh, in my mind again. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. We sit on a bench. He starts describing his career, every word like a report. I nod, smile, mentally noting typical flaws. Too pushy. Too smug. Trying too hard. Too many funny pictures. I'm thinking, friends, if someone saw this show from the side, it would be the comedy of the season. Okay, I say, what about your hobbies? He starts talking about sports and video games. Every line, an effort to prove he's ideal. In my mind, I'm already compiling a guide to guys' mistakes. Stepping closer equals alarm signal, lines plus funny pictures equals triumph, too smug type equals instant fiasco. We sit on the bench, Alex tries to be funny, but at every stage it turns into farce. He grabs his smartphone again. This time, a picture with a dog. Do you look at a lot of funny pictures? I ask, trying to be polite. He pauses, thinks, and proudly replies. Yes, funny pictures are my thing. In my mind, I'm noting, lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Ha, of course. Interesting, I say with a smile. What about real talents? He blinks, literally blinks as if I've posed a riddle. Talents, he repeats. I can be original. I raise an eyebrow, in my mind. Original equals funny pictures. Wonderful, I say, then show me. He opens his smartphone again. I quietly giggle. Honestly, Alex, your original style equals funny pictures. I realize one truth. Almost all guys repeat the same flaws. Self-assurance plus clichés plus funny pictures equals triumph. In reality, total crash. We continue walking through the park, and he tries to be witty. Each joke a bit weaker than the last, he says. You know, I'm convinced we'd have a great time together. I nod, in my mind, equals cliché line. He steps closer equals alarm signal. I smile again, internally thinking, well, let's see how far you'll go. What about your favorite movies? He asks, hoping to hook me. I love movies where heroes act, not just talk. I reply with light irony. And you? He starts describing films with caped heroes. Every line like promo. Look how cultured and fascinating I am. I nod, smile, and mentally keep a journal of flaws. So, I say, tell me honestly, Alex, do you really think funny pictures on a first meeting work? He blushes. Well, they're popular. In my mind, I note again, lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. No, buddy, no. Okay, I say, what about compliments? He starts telling how ladies are thrilled by his grin. I barely hold back laughter. Equals smug type. Listen, I say, I respect compliments, but if you think that compensates for clichés and funny pictures, you're wrong. He stops, I see he's really thinking. Ha, instant hesitation, a small win for me. We continue through the park, and he tries to be funny again. Each effort, almost tragicomedy. I sum up, almost all guys repeat the same flaws. Stepping closer equals alarm signal, lines plus funny pictures equals triumph, too smug type equals fiasco. He switches to talk about food. Honestly, Alex, food is your last chance. I love pasta, he declares, as if that will fix everything. I nod, in my mind, equals won't fix anything. Do you love pasta? He asks, hoping for yes. I do, I reply, but I respect more when a guy can have meaningful dialogue. He winces, I smile, small win number 2. Okay, he says. Then I can, he pauses again, show you something interesting. I'm thinking, interesting equals funny pictures, Alex. And then I realize, watching this is genuinely fun. Seeing someone try hard to seem perfect while you analyze every gesture, almost like a live TV show. We sit on the bench again. He grabs his smartphone and tries to show another funny picture. I quietly giggle. And here's the moment when I decide, let it continue. Let's see how far he'll go while I keep a journal of flaws. Stepping closer equals alarm signal. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Too smug type equals fiasco. Cliché questions equals boredom. Compliments instead of substance equals 0. Alex continues joking, but I'm already almost sure this will be one of the funniest stories of the month. His palms. Maybe we can walk, he suggests. I nod, in my mind. Step forward equals another mistake, because it almost always means the guy thinks, I'm ideal, you have to accept. We walk along the sidewalk, and he tries to start a conversation about trips. Have you ever visited Asia? He asks. I smile, knowing a cliché list will follow. Yes, I reply, but I like watching people on the avenues the most. A light provocation to see the reaction. He blinks, then inserts his story. I was in Rome, well, I mean, it's very beautiful there, and I took tons of photos. I nod, pretend to listen, and mentally, too focused on himself equals flaw number 5. He tries to joke. There's this one bar, you should visit it. Alex, I say with a smile, if a joke starts with you should, it's almost always equals crash. He's confused but persists. Now he resorts to compliments. You have beautiful eyes. I smile slightly. In my mind, compliments instead of substance equals 0. Thanks, I say, but it's more interesting when a guy can have dialogue. I can have dialogue, he almost exclaims, as if wanting to convince by force. I quietly giggle, in my mind. Too smug type equals fiasco. We stop at a small fountain. He grabs his smartphone again. This time, a funny picture about tea. Alex, I say funny pictures at every step equals triumph. Yeah, right now. He chuckles as if it's genius. No, buddy, this is almost tragicomedy. Okay, I say, what else do you have in reserve besides funny pictures and compliments? He thinks, then decides to show a trick with an app on his smartphone. Like I'm a master of illusions. I watch as he twirls his smartphone, trying to impress. A small win for me. Flaw 7, too pushy, too obvious, trying too hard. Alex, I say, if your trick equals effort to impress me, it won't hook. He stops, then says, well, I can tell a captivating episode. I nod, in my mind. Finally, a chance for originality equals chance. Great, I say, go ahead. He starts an episode about how he supposedly saved a friend in university. Every moment too pompous, too I'm the savior, too open for a first meeting. Alex, I interrupt, episode about saving equals effort to seem ideal. Give me something really funny or unusual. He blushes, blinks, then tries to insert a funny picture. No, Alex, funny pictures plus episodes equals triumph, yeah. I think, quietly smiling. We persist in walking. He makes another attempt at compliments. You have an amazing smile. Thanks, I reply. But if you think that compensates for all previous flaws, no. He blinks, steps closer equals alarm signal. Alex, I say stepping closer equals alarm signal, just in case, to make sure it sinks in. He quietly chuckles, I smile, internally thinking, okay, let's see how many more flaws you can rack up. We persist in walking through the park. Alex switches to talk about melodies. Do you love melodies? He asks, as if that's the final lifeline. Yes, I reply. But it's interesting not just to listen to melodies, but how people respond to them. He blinks, then decides to describe his favorite band. Every line like promo. Look how stylish and knowledgeable I am. Alex, I think, too focused on himself equals flaw number 10. He notices my smile and switches to jokes. I can play you a track on my smartphone, he declares proudly. I nod, in my mind. Equals effort to impress, yeah. He plays the track, and I realize it's a hit that every second person knows. Alex, I say, hits equals cliché method, won't hook. He's a bit confused but doesn't surrender. Now he compliments my appearance. You have an appearance captivating. I nod, smiling, in my mind. Compliments instead of substance equals 0. Thanks, I say, but it's more interesting when a guy can have dialogue, not just shower compliments. He stops, then decides to try something else ideal. Grabs his smartphone and shows another funny picture. Alex, I say, funny pictures plus effort to be captivating equals triumph. Yeah, right now. He's confused, but tries to wriggle out. Okay, maybe I can come up with something funny on the spot. I nod, in my mind. Okay, let's see how real your originality is. He starts a joke that's actually not funny. I quietly giggle. Alex, I say, effort at jokes equals another mistake. He blushes, a small win for me. I continue observing. Okay, he says, what about your favorite spots in the city? I describe that I love narrow alleys and secluded cafes where there's no crowd. He nods, as if noting in a notebook. Alex, I think stepping closer equals alarm signal, funny pictures plus jokes equals triumph. But for you, it's total crash so far. He pretends to understand, but in his eyes it's clear. He really doesn't understand. We stop at a bench. He sits next to me. Stepping closer equals alarm signal. Alex, I say quietly, need me to repeat. Stepping closer equals alarm signal. He chuckles awkwardly and I smile. Internally thinking, okay, let's see how many more flaws we can collect. He decides to describe his career. Every word like a report. Look how successful I am. Alex, I think too focused on himself equals flaw number 15. He blushes, switches to movies. Each effort equals repeat of previous flaws. Alex, I say, stepping closer equals alarm signal. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Too smug type equals fiasco. Cliché questions equals boredom. He falls silent, visibly tired. And I quietly smile because I realize almost all guys repeat the same flaws, and watching this, like a TV show where each segment is funnier than the last. After the walk in the park, Alex suddenly suggests, maybe we can pop in somewhere for tea. I nod, in my mind. Step forward equals flaw number 20 because the guy thinks, I suggested means I'm ideal. We enter a cozy cafe on the corner. He sits opposite and tries to be witty again. You know, he starts, I can cook, well, basic dishes. I smile, in my mind. Too focused on himself equals flaw number 21. He grabs his smartphone and shows a funny picture about tea. Alex, I think funny pictures plus lines equals triumph, yeah, right now. He blushes but persists. Now he compliments. You have beautiful eyes. Thanks, I say, but if you think compliments compensate for all previous flaws, no. He blinks, steps closer equals alarm signal. Alex, I say quietly, reminder just in case. Stepping closer equals alarm signal. He chuckles awkwardly and I realize, tension is building, a small win for me. He changes approach. You know, I can tell a captivating episode. I nod, in my mind. Finally a chance for originality equals chance. He starts an episode about university where he supposedly saved a friend's life. Every word like a reel. Look what a savior I am. Alex, I interrupt, episode about saving equals effort to seem ideal. He blushes, blinks, tries to insert another funny picture. Alex, I think funny pictures plus episodes equals triumph, but for you, it's total crash. We persist in sitting. He switches to hobbies. Every word, again, an effort to prove he's ideal. Alex, I say mentally, too focused on himself equals flaw number 25. He blushes, steps closer equals alarm signal. Alex, I say out loud, stepping closer equals alarm signal. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Too smug type equals fiasco. Cliché questions equals boredom. Compliments instead of substance equals 0. He falls silent, visibly tired. And I smile because I realize, almost all guys repeat the same flaws, and watching this, like a TV show with a farcical finale. He decides to become the savior of the evening and suggests going outside where a street artist is playing violin. Listen, he says, I can play you a melody. I nod, in my mind. Effort to impress equals another flaw. He plays but off-key, I quietly giggle. Small win number 3. Alex, I say, trying too hard equals flaw number 30. He blinks, and I see. He really doesn't understand that he's doing the opposite. He switches to movies. Every line, repeat of previous flaws. Alex, I think stepping closer equals alarm signal. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Too smug type equals fiasco. Cliché questions equals boredom. Compliments instead of substance equals 0. Off-key melody equals crash. He goes quiet, visibly starting to realize that something's wrong. I smile, internally. Okay, let's see how many more flaws we can collect before it becomes a disaster. He tries to tell a joke that's not funny. I quietly giggle. Alex, I say, effort at jokes equals another flaw. He blushes, a small win for me. Alex, apparently, decided that if he steps closer equals alarm signal one more time, it will fix things. Alex, I say quietly, stepping closer equals alarm signal, reminder just in case. He smiles awkwardly, and I realize, tension is building, and my internal journal of flaws is only growing. He starts, I can show something else. I nod mentally. Okay, let's see what now equals crash. He grabs his smartphone and shows another funny picture. Alex, I think funny pictures plus lines equals triumph, but for you, it's total crash. He's confused, but tries to wriggle out. Okay, maybe I can come up with something funny on the spot. I nod, in my mind. Okay, let's see how real your originality is. He tells a joke about a cafe where he was supposedly the savior of the evening. I quietly giggle. Alex, I say, effort at jokes equals another flaw. He blushes, small win number 4. He switches to talk about trips. Have you ever visited Asia? He asks. I smile, in my mind, equals cliché line. He starts listing countries he's supposedly visited. Every word like promo. Look how experienced and ideal I am. Alex, I think, too focused on himself equals flaw number 35. He steps closer equals alarm signal. Alex, I say out loud stepping closer equals alarm signal. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Too smug type equals fiasco. Cliché questions equals boredom. Compliments instead of substance equals 0. Off-key melody equals crash. Jokes equals flaw. He falls silent, visibly starting to understand that he's doing the opposite. I smile because I realize almost all guys repeat the same flaws, and watching this, like a TV show with a disastrous climax. He makes an effort to be original and suggests, maybe I can show you a secluded spot in the city. I nod, in my mind. Okay, let's see how secluded spot equals crash. He leads me through narrow alleys, trying to look mysterious. Every movement, effort to impress. Alex, I say, trying too hard equals flaw number 40. He blushes, steps closer equals alarm signal. Alex, I say again, stepping closer equals alarm signal. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Too smug type equals fiasco. He goes quiet, visibly tired and a bit confused. And I quietly smile. Almost all guys repeat the same flaws, and watching this, pure pleasure. He decides to make a final gesture and suggests, maybe I can show you something special right here. I nod, in my mind. Now will be the decisive flaw equals crash. He leads me to a small forgotten garden. Every movement of Alex, effort to seem ideal and mysterious. I observe and note all the flaws. Stepping closer equals alarm signal. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Too smug type equals fiasco. Cliché questions equals boredom. Compliments instead of substance equals 0. Off-key melody equals crash. Jokes equals flaw. Effort secluded spot equals flaw number 40. He stops, grins proudly, and waits for a response. I quietly giggle. Alex, I say, almost all your efforts equals total crash. He blinks, really not understanding what happened. And here's where Sophia decides to intervene. Listen, Alex, I say, if you think funny pictures, clichés, and self-assurance compensate for lack of originality, no. He falls silent, absolute quiet. But he tries to say something. I smile. Alex, I say, stepping closer equals alarm signal. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Too smug type equals fiasco. And here's your decisive flaw equals end of the game. He blushes, quietly chuckles, and finally understands. Almost all guys repeat the same flaws, and watching this, like a TV show where the finale equals disastrous farcical effect. Alex stands opposite me, all self-assured but already clearly confused. He starts, maybe I could. I quietly interrupt. Alex, stepping closer equals alarm signal. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Too smug type equals fiasco. He blushes but tries to grin. But I thought it would work, he says quietly. I smile, internally thinking, buddy, almost all guys repeat the same flaws, and you equals typical case. He decides to try to save the evening and suggests, maybe I can show you something else. I nod, in my mind. Now will be the decisive flaw equals disaster. He leads me to a small alley where street lights flicker. Every movement, effort to seem ideal and mysterious. I observe as he grabs his smartphone, and I realize, it's another funny picture. Alex, I think funny pictures plus lines equals triumph. but for you, it's total crash. He's confused, but tries to wriggle out. Okay, maybe I can come up with something funny on the spot. I nod, in my mind. Okay, let's see how real your originality is. He tells a joke that's actually not funny. I quietly giggle. Alex, I say, effort at jokes equals another flaw. He blushes, a small win for me. And here's where the unexpected happens. Sophia, he says quietly, I really wanted to impress. I look at him and think, maybe he's realizing for the first time that almost all guys repeat the same flaws. He sits next to me, almost silent. Stepping closer equals alarm signal. Alex, I say, reminder just in case. Stepping closer equals alarm signal. Lines plus funny pictures equals triumph. Too smug type equals fiasco. Cliché questions equals boredom. Compliments instead of substance equals zero. Off-key melody equals crash. Jokes equals flaw. He falls silent, visibly tired and a bit down. And then I decide to add a wow element. You know, Alex, I say quietly with a light smile, almost all guys repeat the same flaws. But if you realize this and stop trying to seem ideal gradually, maybe everything will work out. He looks in amazement. So, he starts, everything I did was a mistake. I nod, equals yes, and that's okay. Internally I smile, wow element achieved. He steps back as if finally understanding. Stepping closer equals alarm signal, now he's cautious. Sophia, he says quietly, thanks for revealing to me what's really important. I smile, internally rejoicing. Almost all guys repeat the same flaws, but sometimes they need someone to gently show the way. We stand there in the alley, lights softly illuminating faces, and suddenly I realize, watching this, pure pleasure. Funny, strange, a bit awkward, but it's a real lesson for everyone. Alex takes a small step, this time without effort to impress. I smile, internally thinking, stepping closer equals right. And exactly at this moment, I realize, almost all guys repeat the same flaws, but if they're willing to listen and change, everything can change. We stand in the alley, lights gently illuminating faces. Alex no longer tries to seem ideal or funny. Stepping closer equals cautious, without pomp and funny pictures. Sophia, he says quietly, now I understand that almost everything I did was a flaw. I smile, in my mind. Wow, here's the element of realization. Alex, I say, almost all guys repeat the same flaws. Stepping closer equals alarm signal, lines plus funny pictures equals triumph, too smug type equals fiasco. He nods, yes, he says, and I want to learn. I internally giggle. Watching this all along was like a TV show, farce, drama, and now a finale with a lesson. You know, I continue, flaws are normal. But it's important to realize their flaws and be able to adjust. He looks at me, visibly really listening. Sophia, he says, thanks for not just giggling but revealing to me what's really important. I smile, in my mind, almost all guys repeat the same flaws. But if they're willing to change, gradually, everything can change. We return through the park, Alex now cautious. Every line thought out, funny pictures minimized, compliments sincere, dialogue lively. Sophia, he says quietly, can I invite you for tea again? I smile, internally rejoicing. Stepping closer equals right. Of course, I say, but without funny pictures. He chuckles, I do too, internally thinking, wow, this element, when a guy really realizes flaws and is ready to adjust, that's rare. We sit in the cafe, chatting about books, movies, secluded alleys in the city. Alex no longer tries to impress. Every word sincere, every line alive. Sophia, he says quietly, I never thought one meeting could teach so much. I smile. Alex, I say, it's not one meeting, it's your lesson. And if you learn it, gradually, everything will change. Internally thinking, almost all guys repeat the same flaws, but sometimes it takes someone to gently show the way. He takes a small step closer equals carefully, without awkwardness. Sophia, he says quietly, thanks. I smile, internally, wow element achieved. We chuckle over trifles, discuss funny pictures, but now it's genuinely fun. Alex no longer tries to impress, he just enjoys the moment. And here's where I realize almost all guys repeat the same flaws. But if they're willing to listen, observe, and adjust, everything can change. Stepping closer equals cautious, lines plus funny pictures equals moderately, self assurance, sincere, questions, lively, compliments, honest. Alex finally understood that being himself, much more ideal than all the funny pictures in the world. And at this moment, I think, wow, this really works. We leave the cafe, evening gently envelops the city, our footsteps synchronized. Stepping closer equals right. Sophia, he says quietly, thanks for everything. I smile, in my mind, almost all guys repeat the same flaws. But today he learned, and that's the main wow element.